Listen, y'all, I have two things to tell you today, okay? The first thing is Michael has showed up, okay? He is slinging that sword. He is smiting the enemy. He has showed up. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. Michael has showed up. Whatever it was that was before you, trying to act like it was going to destroy you, destroy your marriage, your finances, or whatever it was trying to do, Michael has stepped on the scene. God has released Michael. He has. Okay, now let's get to the second thing. The second thing is this. You are special. You are. And the reason why you're special is because you're marked. You have experienced Psalms 23. And because of this experience, guess what? You understand that you're in this world, but not of it. And because of this, y'all, we don't see things the way other people see them. We don't hear things the way other people hear them. We don't perceive the way other people perceive things. We don't even follow people and their trends, but our feet are guided by God. We follow the path of righteousness of God, right? That's what's going on. And because of this, people don't understand us, which means what? People who are marked by God, who are special, we are so misunderstood. And when you are so misunderstood, guess what? People, places, and things will have the tendency to label you as the oddball, as the black sheep, as the weirdo, okay? As the freak, as the one that is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, the cray-cray one. And guess what? They'll sometimes call you a narcissist. Why? Because you won't do things the way they want you to do them. And therefore they think you're saying to yourself that it's your way or the highway. And really what it is God's way or no way, okay? Listen, when you're marked, ain't nobody gonna understand you. That's why God told Jeremiah, don't be afraid of their faces. In other words, embrace, embrace being misunderstood. In other words, don't pay attention to what they're saying or what they're thinking about you or even how they're perceiving. God said, don't pay attention to their faces. God says, stay focused on the assignment that he has given you because he's the one that has marked you. Remember, God said he predestined us in Romans 8, predestined us, right? He called us, right? He justified us, right? And he has glorified us, which means what? We ain't got to prove ourselves to nobody. When God tells us to speak a thing, that's it. That's all, folks. That's it. You can never explain God to anybody. Why? Because you didn't write it. God did. It says it is written, not by us, but by God. So how can you explain something that you didn't write? Exactly. I always tell people, God cannot be explained. He can only be experienced. And that's why God said, how can the one that is carnal minded understand those things which are spiritual? So a lot of times, because you have a good heart and I have a good heart, sometimes it does feel a certain kind of way when people misunderstand us because we don't want people looking at us from a bad lens. But guess what? You can't control how people see you. You can't. You can't control it. The only thing you can do is pray for those people. But if you get into a space to where you're so sensitive, you ain't developed thick skin, then what you'll end up doing is pouring into people who are full of themselves. Did you hear me? You'll end up pouring into people who are full of themselves, which means what? You'll be trying to please people instead of trying to please God. And whenever you're pouring into people who are full of themselves, that means you're wasting the wine. You're wasting the wine, you're wasting the oil. It's a reason why God said this. Do not pour new wine into old wine skins. Why? Because the wine skins will do it burst. And therefore, the people that you're pouring into is old wineskin, which means what? They have an old way of thinking. They have not been renewed in their mind. It says, if any man be in Christ, he's a new creature. Old things are passed away, and behold, all things have become new. People who have not been yet transformed by God, have not had the experience of God, have not had a relationship and a connection with God. The more you pour into them, the more they waste the wine. They are not able to sustain it. That's why they're in the same cycle, and they keep calling you, asking you to pray about the same thing that you've been praying about for years for them. God said, stop wasting the wine. Stop wasting the wine. Okay? Wait until they have an experience with God. You can still pray for them, but don't focus. Don't let them be the main focus. Okay? Don't let them be the main focus. But you got to remember, you are special. You've been marked. Embrace being misunderstood. Embrace it. Because truth be told, everyone that God has called, everyone that God has marked, they all were misunderstood, including his son, Jesus Christ. Including his son, Jesus Christ. And Jesus was doing miracles. And the miracles that Jesus was doing, it was right away. Immediately, eyes were open. Immediately, the deaf was able to hear. Immediately, the lame was walking. Immediately. And they still misunderstood him. Everything Jesus was saying, they were seeing it come to pass. But he was so misunderstood. Look at Elijah, Elisha, right? Samuel, right? Noah out there building an ark. And the people did not understand the assignment that God gave Noah. And so what? They mocked him. They said things about him. They probably called him a narcissist as well. I'm telling you, when people don't understand you, people, places, and things, but they don't understand the God in you, how God is moving through you, because they don't understand, because they're seeing through their carnal eyes. They think it's you. They do. They don't understand Philippians 2:13, that it is God that works in us to will and do for his good pleasure, right? So what we're doing, it's not because we said, oh, this is what I'm gonna do in the morning. No, we're on an assignment. But people who have scales on their eyes can't see clearly, and they will misunderstand you. But you got to have thick skin, boo. You got to have thick skin, because a lot of people who don't understand you, they living right under the same roof with you. Maybe it's your husband, maybe it's your wife, maybe it's your children, maybe it's your mama, maybe it's your daddy, maybe it's your in-laws, maybe it's your cousins, maybe it's your co-workers, maybe it's a stranger in Walmart. You are not going to be understood by everybody, especially those who are in carnality. And you, guess what? You ain't going to be understood by people in the church. People that say, Lord, Lord, they ain't going to understand you either. Remember Job? When Job was in the space where God had allowed the enemy to test Job, Job's brethren, who knew the word, right? They didn't understand Job. They didn't understand the words that was coming out of his mouth either. So don't be offended when you are misunderstood. Don't take off your specialness. Because when you're misunderstood, some of y'all getting a real funk over there. Some of y'all getting a real bad place. You're feeling mighty bad and mighty low. You do. Because you want so bad for people to get you. You want so bad to fit in that people will embrace you. But when you're marked, sugar boo-boo, guess what? You ain't going to get that kind of embracing. That's why God said in his word, a prophet is not even welcome in his own way, in his own home. So you got to be used and get used to what? To not being understood. You ain't going to be understood all the time. They ain't going to understand you all the time. They're not. But you got to accept that, because God never built you to fit in. He built and designed you to stand out. That's why he refers to us as light. If you were meant to fit in, then you'll be a part of the world of darkness, right? But when light arises, it stands out amongst the darkness. That's why God said, arise and shine, for your light has come. Let your light so shine amongst men, so they may see thy works. You got to stand out. If you blend it in, they ain't going to notice you. You got to stand out so they can see you apart from their circle, from where they are. You're so busy trying to please people, places, and things because you want to be accepted. You want to be embraced. You want to be understood. And God said you ain't going to be understood when he has marked you. You're marked. Count it as a blessing. Count it as a blessing. Embrace being misunderstood. I have one more thing. I knew this was going to be a long one, y'all, because I've been sitting on this one since Saturday. Now, the last thing I want to tell you, when you have been marked, you will always be in a place of safety. You will. And you automatically know that you also have benefits of God, right? But let's deal with this thing of always being in a space of being protected. You will be protected and be safe when God has marked you, whenever God is releasing his wrath, and whenever the enemy is trying to set a trap. I'm going to read this to you. Ezekiel, the 9th chapter, and I believe I'm going to start with the 3rd verse. Listen at this. And the glory of the God of Israel was gone up from the cherub whereupon he was, to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side. And the Lord said unto him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And to the others, who are the others? Those who do not have the mark. And to the others he said in mine hearing, Go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity. 6, slay utterly old, young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. Okay, did you hear that? Everyone that God had the man in linen to mark with his writer's inkhorn, those who were not touched by the wrath that God released. And God said also, begin at his sanctuary. Remember, I told you that everybody's not going to understand you. Not even those who say, Lord, Lord. Those who sit right next to you in church. Even the pastor ain't going to understand you. The bishop ain't going to understand you. People not going to understand you, okay? And God said, start at the sanctuary. Be happy that you're special and that you're marked. Don't try to fit in, because when you try to fit in, that means you're giving up your privilege. It's a privilege that you gain whenever you come into God, whenever you surrender to God. You get privilege, you do, benefits. And one of them is being safe at all times. It is. So you're marked. So whether God is releasing wrath, you're safe. And whether if the enemy is trying to set traps, guess what? You're safe. Because God said what? He will not allow you to be caught up in a snare. Psalms 91. I will deliver you from every snare of the fowler, every trap, whatever plot, plan, agenda, assignment, mission, whatever the enemy thought he was going to release against you and your family, finances, or whatever. God says, not so. It's not going to be. So stay in a safe place under God's wing, right? Stay in his care and embrace being misunderstood, which means what? You have your identity and you know who you are and whose you are. You're special because you're marked. I'm at 13 minutes or so. I hope y'all got it. But if you didn't get this thing, listen, rewind and watch again. But in the meantime, in between time, if you take just a little bit of what I'm telling you and apply it to your life to the best of your ability, you won't ever have the massive smile. Why? Because your smiles will always be genuine. Y'all be blessed, stay blessed, be blessed, stay blessed. Remember, you're special. Don't you forget it. Don't please people, please God. Stay in the assignment. Move in the assignment of God, okay? Because you're marked. You're special. I love y'all, and most of all, Jesus loves you too. I'll talk to y'all soon. Ciao.